If you've clicked on this video, your job probably relies on some sort of public speaking, and you probably don't feel comfortable doing it, and you probably want some tips to help you at work. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the 7 best pieces of advice I wish I had when I first started. But why should you listen to me over these gurus that have 10, 20 or 30 years of experience? Well, I started public speaking in 2023, which is 3 years ago now, which means I've solved all these beginner problems recently. How to stand, how to use my hands, how to use the pause, how to get rid of fillers, how to use tonality in my speech so I don't sound monotone. All these beginner problems that you're facing right now, I've recently just solved them all. Whereas these Tony Robbins, these Simon Sineks, these Vinh Jans, they've not had to solve these beginner problems for years, and because of that, they're not familiar with these problems as much as I am. And that's why you're better learning from me than you are learning from them. But before I go into the 7 hacks that you can use to improve your public speaking at work, here is a blueprint on how to make a great presentation. And if you want that blueprint, the link is below. It is completely free. You will get this poster, but you also will get 11 days of emails to supplement your creation with your presentation. You're not guessing anymore of what to say and how to structure it. You will have a step-by-step process that you can follow. And it's free. Now let's get into the first hack. The problem is, when I first started, people weren't paying attention to me. They were paying attention to my slides. All their eyes were looking at the slides for a longer period of time than they were looking at me. And the problem with that was, when I was doing my speeches, people weren't really digesting what I was saying. They weren't taking away the core concepts, the core message, and the core idea that I wanted them to really focus on of the speech. You got to think, why do you speak in the first place? You speak in the first place to make them think, feel or do something after listening to you. And if they're too busy concentrating on your slides and not you, they're not going to digest everything that you've got to say. And the way that you're going to fix that is by planning your speech first. Never, ever, ever do your presentation and then your speech around it. No, it's not like that. You've got to plan your speech first, and then, and only then, can you then create a slide deck. You're going to go through your speech and think, could I include a picture here? Could I break my speech up with a video here? Could I put 3 words on the screen there to really supplement what I'm saying? Think of it like this. When you're going to get your tea, you don't think, I'm going to have carrots tonight. No, you think, I'm going to have chicken and bacon tonight. I'm going to have Hunter's chicken. And then alongside that, I'm going to supplement my Hunter's chicken with some carrots and maybe some broccoli. You don't think, what am I having for vegetables tonight? You think, no, what's the protein? What are the carbohydrates? That is the main bit of the meal, and then you're going to supplement it. Make sure you plan the speech first, like you would plan your main section of your meal first, and then, and only then, supplement it with your slides. But just doing that won't solve all your problems with public speaking. That will just allow your audience to digest your message better. But to ensure your words are crisp, you need to make sure that you don't fall into this trap. People tend to speak too fast, and because they speak too fast, they trip over their tongue. When you trip over your tongue, you will start to lose credibility. When I first started public speaking, I was very nervous. My first speech, I tried to get the first minute of that speech out very, very quickly, because I thought, if I can speak it quicker, I'm not going to take as much time from the audience, so they're not going to be as mean. That's literally what I thought. But because I tried to do that, I lost credibility because I messed up my words. Now, you can mess up your words once, that's completely fine. But if it starts to become a habit of you tripping over your tongue, that is when you will lose credibility from your audience. It's going to make it look like, this dude does not know what he's on about. And that's why you need to take your time, slow your pace down, and include more pauses. Because not only does that allow the audience to digest your message even more, it also gives you time to think about what you want to say. It gives you time to think and process about what to say next. And when you give yourself more time to think, you can be more precise in what you want to say. But it's all good being precise in what you want to say and being sharp with how you articulate your words. But if you don't structure it in the right manner, none of that will even matter. Which takes me on to number 3. People often show and they don't tell. Now, what do you mean by show, don't tell? Well, there's a difference by saying, I'm nervous. My first speech, I just said, I was really nervous. but I'm not letting the audience relive the feelings that I was actually getting. Because when you feel nervous, you don't just think, oh, I'm nervous. You start to get that feeling in your stomach. Your palms start to sweat and your mouth will probably start to go dry. Instead of telling them the actual emotion you felt, show them the symptoms that you started to get. So instead of saying, I was nervous, you should say, my stomach started to churn, my palms started to sweat, and my mouth started to go dry. Because now you've put an image in their mind. You've included VAX, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and smell. By describing how you are actually reacting, they can get a clearer image in their head. Because think about when you speak, you literally just want to portray an image and describe an image so they can picture it in their mind. And if they can feel like they're there in the moment, they're going to feel that situation a lot more. And the solution for showing and not telling and making sure you're involving the audience and transporting them into that moment is describe the feeling, don't tell the feeling. But that's not the only thing you can do to bring your presentation to life. There's one more thing that will make all the difference. And this is with your stories, which takes me on to number 4, tip number 4. But before I get into tip number 4, if you want a clear blueprint on how to create these presentations that you can do at work, check the link below for this poster, completely free. And like I said, you will also get 11 days of emails. And my email is on those emails because obviously I'm sending it to you. So if you've got any questions, you can literally just fire them over. But getting back into tip number 4, you don't bring your stories to life. And because you don't bring your stories to life, people can't connect with what you are saying. You need to transport your audience into the moment. And the way that you will do that is by using dialogue. And the reason dialogue is so good is because it includes emotion. Within the dialogue, there will be emotion behind it, but there also is characters. People connect to characters. They don't connect to places as well. They connect to people. People connect to people. And if you can include those people in your stories, it makes them feel a part of that moment. My first speech at Toastmasters, I don't think I used any dialogue. But later down the line, I will try and use dialogue all the time because it makes it feel real. When you just describe a moment, it's not as realistic. But dialogue's not the only way that you can create leverage. And that takes me on to tip number 5. Every speech needs to create some sort of leverage. Without it, everything else is dead weight. You can put all the effort in, but if you've created no leverage, no one will remember you. You will blend into the crowd. Picture this, you're walking through your local woods, and through that local woods, there is a big field on the right-hand side. And in the field, there is a lot of sheep, probably about 100. So picture 100 sheep in there, and they kind of all blend in together. But then you see this one sheep. Now this one sheep has purple fur, and you're thinking, why has that sheep got purple fur? Like, what makes that one special? And as you continue with your walk and you go home, you're still thinking about that sheep with purple fur. But you're not thinking about the other 99 sheep. Why? Because that purple sheep was against the grain. It stood out. And you need to do the same thing with your speech. Just like Bill Gates came out with mosquitoes, Darren Tay put on pants on top of his trousers, Dr. Jill brought out a human brain. You need to create a wow factor within your speech because that will create leverage. You create the leverage by being different to everyone else. Because if you are different to everyone else, you will stand out from the crowd. You will then be remembered. If you can find a way to stand out and make your speech different to everyone else and not just be the boring sod that stands there and just speaks, really boring, but you bring maybe a prop or a visual hook or even a different type of story, or you bring an activity into your speech which engages the audience, you will stand out from the crowd because you have created leverage. Now it's all good creating leverage, but if you don't have the core foundations for communication, all of that is pointless. Which takes me on to tip number 6. Most people don't know the core foundations to communication. Now, you could have great content and you could have a great script, but if you say that in a boring manner, no one is going to care. And that's why you need to know the 6 core foundations. These are the base to how you sound. Volume, fillers, pause, pitch, pace, and tonality. They are the 6 core foundations. Now, this is pointless if you don't know how to improve them. And that's why I'm going to show you how to improve them in tip number 7. Now, if you want to improve on how you sound, They're the 6 things that you need to take in consideration. And the way that you are going to do that, which is tip number 7, is a feedback loop. You need to create some sort of feedback loop, because without a feedback loop, you're not going to know what works. And if you don't know what works, how the hell are you meant to improve in that area? And that's where this system can come into play. Record, review, isolate, repeat. You're going to record yourself speaking. It could be a random improv speech like this. It could be your public speech that you have coming up at work. It could be a meeting that you've recorded, anything where you are speaking and you can watch yourself back. You are then going to review the footage. Look at the footage and see where you think that you need to improve in. The only way that you will create this improvement is by building awareness. You build awareness by watching yourself back to see what you are doing wrong or discover areas that you want to improve in. Once you discover an area that you want to improve in, you need to isolate that area. Let's say you don't feel like you're putting much tonality into your communication. You feel like you're flat. There's no emotion behind your voice. You can then get a kid's book and start reading that book as if you're reading it to a kid, because that will force you to create more emotion with your voice, to create more tonality. And then you are then going to repeat the process of watching yourself back again in that public speech, in a meeting, or speaking randomly to your phone or a camera, and see if you put more tonality into your speech. And that is how you will create a feedback loop. That is how you will create a better sound to your voice. That's how you will improve your core foundations. Record, review, isolate, repeat. Now they are my 7 pieces of advice I wish I knew when I started. I've had to go through making a fool of myself. I've had to embarrass myself to establish these 7 tips. And like I said, if you want the blueprint to create an influential presentation that you can use at work, check out the link below. And although these 7 bits of advice are gold mines, if you get nervous when you speak and you get scared, you're going to freeze up and it's going to be very hard to implement all these tips. Which is why if you do get scared, you should probably watch this one because it will help with your confidence. Anyway, that's me. See you later on.